Kind of a cool recipe because you get 2 for 1. You got infused oil and you also get chili crisp. We're gonna be making a homemade mayonnaise with that oil, and then we're gonna be making a seared sirloin steak sandwich to finish it off. Recipe is really simple. Half an ounce of dried habaneros, 20 chili de arbol, about 2 cups worth of neutral oil. You could use avocado oil, canola oil, coriander, cumin, black peppercorns, and cinnamon stick. We're gonna make that chili oil first, and then we'll make the mayonnaise, then we'll make that steak sandwich. Another very cool thing about this oil is that there's minimal amount of prep work. Really all you need to do is grab the peppers and yank the stems right off of it, then give the peppers a rough chop. Deseeding is optional. I may also want to add that you might want to wear rubber gloves when cutting up hot peppers. I'm not really worried about removing any kind of seeds, but if you want to take the time to do that, obviously, do what you want to do with that. Same thing with the habanero. Just grab it from the stem and yank that stem right off of that. Super easy. It smells like a dried date, which is weird, but do not let dried habaneros fool you. They are freaking killer on the heat. Lightly chop them up. Cool, so I have a small stock pot. Got all the peppers in, cinnamon stick will go in there. Also, you want to toss in the cumin, coriander, and peppercorns. So when you're toasting chilies like this, like I am, especially since some of them are habaneros, you definitely want to fumigate your house, even have a fan blowing the fumes outside a window or something like that. Cook it outside if you need to, have a hood vent going or something, because this is gonna start getting into the air, and it's hot chilies, it's habanero and it's chili de arbol. And the fumes coming off of it is gonna make you cough, it's gonna make you sneeze, it's gonna not be very pleasant. So you can also keep a lid on it. I'm just gonna lightly toast these 2 or 3 minutes. I'm just trying to get the flavor off of the chilies and bloom those spices. That's all we're doing. It's kind of cool to have a lid on it too, so that you can flip it like that if you need. It's not hot, right? A lid definitely will help, trust me. I like the way that looks. So very quickly, we're gonna add the oil. It's about 2 cups worth. Pour that oil in there right away. Really gonna weigh down those fumes. This is my candy thermometer. I could set it to a certain temperature and it'll beep. I have this set to 250 degrees and it'll start beeping at me. These are such a handy tool. I love candy thermometers for doing stuff like this, frying oil. Gonna be able to handle the temperature first of all, and then you could set it to beep when you have your target temperature. You know what I mean? Such a cool thermometer. If you want to grab your own, I'll have a link in the description for one. They're very nice to have. You could use candy thermometers for more things than just candy, obviously. Checking oil temperatures, when you're frying, when you're making infused oils. This really should only take about 5 minutes to heat this oil up, so don't go anywhere. You only want to heat these dried chilies up to 250 degrees. Any hotter than that, I've found then they start getting a little too crispy. Almost have a bitter, burnt taste to them, which is no fun. It'll start beeping at you when it's within 3 degrees of that set temperature range. So once it gets to 247, it'll start beeping. All right, kill the heat, rid of that obnoxious noise. I think bay leaf would be a nice addition to that, so let's try that. Now you just let this cool, room temperature, 6 to 8 hours, something like that. So now that we have that beautiful chili oil made and it's cooled off, let's hop on and make that sirloin steak sandwich. I drop in a nice piece of sirloin into a preheated cast iron pan over medium high heat, salted very liberally on both sides. Sear it on each side for about 2.5 to 3 minutes until you get that beautiful caramelized crust on it. I am shooting for a medium rare, pushing towards medium on this steak. Since this is a thicker cut of meat, I like to sear the sides for about 30 seconds each just to get a nice caramelization on there. Once that steak is done, let it rest for about 10 minutes while we make this delicious homemade spicy mayonnaise. To start, we're going to strain out the chili oil, reserving that chili crisp for another time. This recipe makes about 2 cups worth of that delicious spicy chili oil. Place the chili crisp onto a clean kitchen towel to soak up any extra oil on them and let them dry, putting them into a glass container, and they'll stay just like that for about a month if kept in the refrigerator. They are delicious, crunchy, and very spicy. Perfect for a garnish, or eat them as is. So to start making that mayonnaise, I'm going to crack open 2 whole eggs into a bowl. This makes it a whole hell of a lot easier to extract the yolks. I'm placing the yolks into a glass liquid measuring cup. I just find it easier to make the mayonnaise using this method. Once you have the yolks in there, give your hands a wash. Zest in 2 garlic cloves. If you don't have a zester, just give them a very fine chop. Once we have the garlic zested, now goes in the zest of 1 lime, a good pinch of salt, a healthy teaspoon of Dijon mustard, and of course we want to juice that entire lime as well. So I'm not thoroughly convinced that was enough lime juice, so I'm going to add a splash of white distilled vinegar in as well. Being that this chili oil recipe gave us about 2 cups worth of chili oil, I'm going to go ahead and put 1 cup's worth of that chili oil into a mason jar and keep it for other purposes. Put about 1 tablespoon's worth of that oil into the liquid measuring cup with the yolks, and using an immersion blender, you're going to turn it on and blend those ingredients until they form a nice thick emulsification. While that blender is still on, drizzle in the oil nice and slow, and moving that immersion blender up and down, you want to fully incorporate all that oil before adding the rest. With the last 2 or 3 tablespoons, I guess, go ahead and dump it all in there, and keep blending this mayonnaise until all the oil is fully incorporated and you get this nice thick mayonnaise. If you don't have an immersion blender, you could obviously do this all by hand. It'll just take a hell of a lot longer. Give it a taste and adjust seasoning as necessary. Grab a spoonful, tip it upside down. If it doesn't fall, then your mayonnaise has passed the thickness test. Place into a bowl and set it aside while we assemble this beautiful sirloin steak sandwich. This mayonnaise is so delicious. It has a good amount of body, good amount of flavor, good spice. So I love using tomatoes in my sandwiches when tomatoes are good. So I grab 1 Roma tomato and give it a very thin slice. Grab those slices, lay them flat on a cutting board, season both sides very generously, salt and freshly cracked black pepper. Grab that sirloin, now that it's been fully rested. Give it a thin slice, about 1/8 of an inch thick as well. And of course you want to clean up your messes as you go. Grab 1 avocado if they're good, cut them into thin slices as well, about 1/8 of an inch thick. I consider it a very lucky day if I'm able to even find 1 good avocado at the store at this point in time. Grab some toasted sourdough bread and be very generous with that homemade spicy mayonnaise on both sides. Make sure you spread that mayonnaise coast to coast on both pieces of that toasted sourdough bread. Let's keep the assembly going. Lay down that thinly sliced sirloin. I like to lay down about 8 or 9 slices of that sirloin per sandwich. After the sirloin, lay down the tomatoes. On top of the tomatoes, some fresh arugula. I love the pepperiness of it. It has a nice contrast to the sandwich. The freshly sliced avocado, and on top of the avocado, some baby Swiss, and put a lid on it. And I just realized that I forgot to put some chili crisp on it. That, my friend, is a delicious, beautiful looking steak sandwich. There are a lot of cool ways you could actually use this oil. One of my favorites is making a vinaigrette with it. Also, you could drizzle it over pasta, some seared fish, or a steak. So many different ways you could use it. One of my other favorite ways is making homemade mayonnaise with it. Very delicious, very spicy. Habanero infused chili oil, chili crisp, spicy homemade mayonnaise, delicious seared sirloin steak sandwich. Life is amazing.